Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GinJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Wednesday, October 16th. Got a Jaguars mock draft for you. 4 rounds here. We've got some exciting things going on in Jacksonville with the stadium being approved by the league owners. We've also got some not so exciting things going on. Football team that's 1-5. Not really much hope for the rest of this season. Not really much hope for the current regime. It's not looking great on that front, right? You do have your star quarterback, who I think is still playing pretty darn good football. Last couple weeks, Trevor Lawrence has played good football for the Jaguars, but there has been some big-time disappointing performances individually, as a group, coaching-wise, questionable decisions. It's just not been going well in Jacksonville. And last week after the win, we did not do a mock draft, but we're going to do another mock draft here as the Jaguars are 1-5. Look, Doug Peterson, head coach, players, they can talk about wanting to flip this season and turn this season around, and they should, and that should be their goal. But at 1-5 with, they do have the Patriots this weekend, but after that, 4 straight games against some of the best teams in the NFC. When you talk about the Packers, the Vikings, the Lions, the Eagles, I just don't know how you escape that with hopes to still compete for a wild card spot. That would shock me. So we are looking ahead at the future. T-Wig, he did a great show yesterday talking about maybe trying to poach Ben Johnson from the Detroit Lions for head coach, and maybe Ian Cunningham, the Bears assistant GM, a guy that T-Wig's talked to people around the league that he trusts, that rave about him. And obviously the Bears have done a good job putting that football team together over the last couple of years. I could see that. We will, in the future, get into more candidates and more guys I would look at, but I'm not convinced that Shad Khan's going to fire Trent Baalke. I do think that Doug Peterson is pretty much, and Trent Baalke, he grabs onto power and he keeps a tight rein on it somehow. He really does. It's pretty incredible. But we're going to look at this mock draft. And this is assuming that Doug is gone. Who knows what happens in the front office? This is kind of like what I would do at this point, more so than what I would expect a Trent Baalke to do. This is what I would do. Haven't really done that yet necessarily. We've looked at different options and explored different scenarios, but I'm looking at what I would do here today. Excited to get into it. So 4 rounds, the Jaguars have 2 third-round picks and 2 fourth-round picks. So this is going to be a pretty meaty 4-round mock draft for the Jaguars, right? Got a first, a second, 2 thirds, and 2 fourths. At 3, which is where the Jaguars are currently slated to select, which that could very well be where they end up selecting. Haven't done this yet. Wide receiver, Tetairoa McMillan. T-Mac, all you Orlando Magic fans. Love that nickname, T-Mac. Tetairoa McMillan, 6'5", over 210 pounds. Incredible hands, great ball skills, ball tracking down the field, 3-level threat. Somebody who, at his size, has surprising quickness and agility, elusiveness and flexibility. This guy has the makings of a true X. And what I'm looking at with my first 2 picks here especially, and look, in this draft, the Jaguars will not be able to address all their needs. They have a lot of cap space as well. It's projected $54 million. It will likely end up more than that. In this draft, instead of just saying, hey, we need to attack our needs in the first 2 rounds, I'm saying we need to create dominant areas of this roster, right? That's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to not just patch holes, but to create, again, parts of this roster that are incredibly difficult to deal with for any football team that the Jaguars play. I think as much as addressing your needs can be important and is important, highlighting what you do well and creating an identity is even more important. And I want the Jaguars' offensive identity to be centered around Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr., and Teteroa McMillan. Now, T-Mac, he offers a skill set, in my opinion, that complements Brian Thomas Jr. very well. It's the type of skill set that Trevor Lawrence has really thrived with throughout his career, dating back to his college days. The big-bodied guy who can go up and get it in tight coverage. Trevor Lawrence is going to put it out there for you. T-Mac is going to catch everything thrown his way. He's good in contested catch situations. He does not drop the easy ones. This is a really, really good complement, and he can play physically. So you've got two guys that can attack downfield in Brian Thomas Jr. and Teteroa McMillan, but they complement each other well because BT, while he does have size, is more of the speed guy, and T-Mac, while he does have quickness and juice and athleticism, he is more of the power guy. So you've got two guys that can line up on the outside. Brian Thomas Jr. should be more of a move, kind of Z receiver to get him freed up, and then T-Mac can be your X that takes on the opponent's number one corner more often than not. I just think that presents a lot of issues for opposing teams. I just don't know how opposing teams would deal with that. And I know you can say, oh, the Jaguars need to take tackle, they need to take edge, they need to take corner. Corner is a legitimate consideration here, but with Tyson Campbell being your top guy, and I think how volatile corner can be in the NFL, and how difficult it is to play corner at a high level from the jump, I have a hard time not taking Teteroa McMillan here. Again, because of the just dominance you can create with that passing game, with Trevor, Brian Thomas Jr., and Teteroa McMillan all playing together. And of course, Evan Ingram's still there. Will Christian Kirk be around next year? I'm not sure. Will Gabe be there? Probably, because of the contract situation. But everything that Gabe's been trying to do for you, I think Teteroa McMillan can do at an extremely high level as that X receiver. So, love that. At 34, defensive lineman L.T. Overton. Now, this is a guy, I have to be honest, I do think Trent Baalke would love him. He's young, extremely athletic, 6'5", 280 pounds, 283 pounds. He has length, power, athleticism. So Trent Baalke, this would be a Trent Baalke type of pick. And L.T. Overton, as more people get eyes on him and as he continues to play more at Alabama, he might not make it to 34. But in this scenario, he is there. And I think he's the type of guy that, again, when I think about creating some dominant areas of this football team, this is a player that can certainly play edge and base. But I love the idea of L.T. Overton rushing from the interior, and he's done that at Bama and done it to extremely high effect. Like, he gets off the ball quickly. He has great swipe moves. He can get into the backfield quickly. L.T. Overton, Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker, all trying to get to the quarterback. One of the big issues you're having right now in Jacksonville, and I blame it on the coaching, straight up, there's no interior pass rush. And part of the reason for that is Eric Armstead isn't rushing from the interior very often. And, assuming Eric Armstead's still in Jacksonville next year, which I don't think there's any reason he wouldn't be, L.T. Overton, Eric Armstead, Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker rushing in clear pass rushing situations, I think that could be overwhelming. I really do. So I'd be a huge fan of that. And L.T. Overton just turned 20 this past week, so happy birthday to him. Now, got to remind y'all to check out Underdog Fantasy. I play best ball over there, pick 'em, and a whole lot more. It's super easy. Just got to head over to Underdog, simple to use Mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with promo code DuvalDaily, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code DuvalDaily to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's 1-800-639-8783. Or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7-HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. So, moving on with this mock draft, we've now created, in my opinion, a potentially dominant receiving core for Trevor Lawrence, two guys that really complement his skill set. And we've also created even more ability to get to the quarterback and pressure the quarterback on the defensive side of the ball. Now, moving forward, we're trying to find value with these picks, but, patching up some needs as well, patching up some holes, maybe long-term. I think Ernest Green, the left tackle at Georgia, I think he's a guard in the NFL, quite frankly. And, could he come in and compete to play right guard for the Jaguars if Brandon Sheriff retires or moves on? I think that could make a lot of sense. Ernest Green's a good pass protector. I think that he could slide inside to guard and do that at a high level. So I think he's the type of player that makes sense at 65. Like, he performs better than the 65th overall pick, in my opinion. But again, not going to be the greatest athlete, not going to be the guy with the longest arm. So I think you can kick him inside and potentially have him as a quality guard. Getting that in the third round, I would love. Now, this next player we have added to the Jaguars before, and that's defensive lineman Dante Corleone from Cincinnati. This is a player that I had before he had a little bit of blood clot issues. I shouldn't say a little bit, but before he had blood clot issues this offseason, I had him as a first-round grade. I still think from a tape perspective, he's easily a day 2 player. Getting him at the end of day 2 would be fantastic. He is extremely stout, but he's also got a knack for penetration as well, getting into the backfield. So again, you're just adding to the lines of scrimmage a lot here with Ernest Green at 65, with Dante Corleone at 96. Obviously, with your guy, LT Overton at 34 overall. We have really beefed up the line of scrimmage and added guys that know how to play the game, that do it at a high level. They're not just prospective athletes. They are good football players. And, of course, Tetairoa McMillan, help out your quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. Now, in the 4th round, we have 2 more picks here. I love running back Nick Singleton. I don't think he should be a 4th-round pick. I think he should be a day 2 player. He's incredibly talented now from Penn State. Runs hard. I think he has really improved his vision throughout his time in college. He's still a young player as well. I think he's only 20 years old. But you're talking about like a 220 to 230-pound back who's probably running sub 4.4 or right around the 4.4 range, who breaks tackles, who has some wiggle. Extremely explosive, shot out of a cannon type of speed. Again, I don't think he should be available at 105 overall, but there are a lot of talented running backs in this class. It's going to be a big-time running back class in 2025. So Nick Singleton, if he's on the board there, that could make a lot of sense. And you say, how does that fit with the Jaguars? Well, at this point, I don't think they're going to extend Travis Etienne. He is under contract through 2025. But if you're worried about making sure you have guys that can tote the rock when there's injuries, if you want to create a 2-headed monster in the backfield after Travis Etienne potentially departs, Nick Singleton can help you do that with Tank Bigsby. And I think he's more talented physically than Tank Bigsby, but that could be 2 guys that really make it difficult for opposing defenses. 133 overall. Cornerback Jason Marshall from Florida. This is a guy who has played inside. He's played outside. He plays the game smart. He's good in coverage. Has a lot of prototypical traits you're looking for. I think he has the size, length, athleticism. Has played a lot of football at Florida. Has done really rather impressive work in some really poor situations for the Gators. So I think Jason Marshall, anytime you can get a player like that in the 4th round, I would be running to the podium to be able to add him to my football team. I think he's a very good player that, had he been in different situations, perhaps could have had a much different college career and received a lot more praise. But I think he's played very well at the University of Florida. And that's going to do it for this 4-round mock draft. Again, early on, yeah, you can be one of these guys that wants to address needs. I want to attack and I want to create some real mismatches, some advantages for us every single game. And that's what we're doing with wide receiver Tetero McMillan. That's what we're doing with defensive lineman LT Overton. And then we're just adding quality talent throughout the rest of the draft. I would love it. I would absolutely love it. And I think the Nick Singleton pick, very, very underrated. It could be adding a running back like that if you're able to early on day 3 of the draft. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out ginjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear. We are going to be launching at 9 a.m. hat sale, 40% off all hats at ginjag.com/shop. Check it out. Again, that's 9 a.m. Wednesday, October 16th. Again, really appreciate y'all tuning in. Have a good one.